when a 14-year-old black girl walked into a physics lecture hall at Princeton University. No one saw her coming. They saw a mistake, a child in the wrong place. Someone's niece, maybe. A visitor from a public school, surely confused. What they didn't see, what they refused to see, was what she carried inside. A mind that ran faster than equations could catch up. A silence full of answers. Within minutes, she would solve a problem that had gone unanswered for years, and she wouldn't stop there. She would show the professor himself where he went wrong, not by raising her voice, just by writing on the board. A soft beep broke the morning dark in Brooklyn. Anissa Willow's arm darted from under a threadbare quilt, silencing the alarm with a practiced swipe. The room was still, her little brother's quiet breaths from the mattress on the floor, the click of the radiator, the slow hum of a passing truck outside. She slipped out of bed, feet meeting cold tile. She didn't flinch. The kettle clicked on. Oats stirred slowly in a saucepan, the wooden spoon moving without her full attention. She bent to clean her brother's sneakers, wiping around the laces, dabbing the soles with a wet rag. His school pants were folded at the end of the couch. He always forgot them there. She placed them near his pillow and whispered, "Up in 5. Okay?" No answer. But she saw his eyes flutter. The apartment smelled of cinnamon, cracked vinyl, and winter dust. Anissa pulled on her uniform, a washed-out plaid skirt, button-up shirt, the sleeves repaired with tiny, neat stitches. Her backpack sagged under its own weight. One of the zippers didn't work anymore, so she'd sewn it shut. She didn't mind. Outside, the cold bit at her cheeks. She kept her head down, hands in pockets, watching her steps on the icy sidewalk. At the bus stop, boys her age leaned on the metal railing, loud with the energy of not caring. "Damn, Nisa, that backpack looks like a trash bag," one of them laughed. "You trying to be janitor of the year?" She didn't look at him, just stood still, breath clouding in the air. Another boy chuckled but looked away quickly when she caught his eye. The first one kept going. "You know it's a school trip, right? Not no hospital work study." Still, she said nothing. Her fingers tightened slightly around the frayed strap. The bus groaned up to the curb. She got on first, walked past them without a word, and sat by the window. In the classroom, the lights buzzed overhead. Miss Perlman, the physics teacher, had a way of speaking like she was always apologizing to the room. That morning, she didn't say anything. Just walked straight to Anissa's desk and laid a single white envelope down on the wood. No name, no seal. Just a printed logo in the corner. Princeton University. Miss Perlman gave a short nod. "Take it," she said softly. Anissa looked up at her. "What is it?" "You've been invited. Physics Olympiad. You don't have to go, but I think you should." She didn't say anything, just slipped the envelope into her book and closed it. That afternoon, Anissa walked to the hospital where her mother worked. Not as a nurse. She cleaned floors, changed linens, emptied bins, sometimes stayed late to cover someone else's shift. Anissa wiped down the vending machines and sorted the biohazard bins the way her mother showed her. In the hallway, a cart of equipment stood abandoned. Two nurses argued over something at the front desk. A cable trailed across the floor. A plug sat half inserted into the wall. The back of the machine blinked red. She crouched, read the label on the interface. Oxygen monitor. She looked closer. A calibration setting was off by a decimal. She pressed the button once, changed the number. The red light turned green. She didn't say anything. That evening, her room glowed soft blue from the cracked screen of her laptop. On the wall, Hand-drawn graphs, loops of string showing parabolas, faded printouts of differential equations. Her notebook, creased, ink-heavy, lay open. She filled a page with integration steps, paused, turned it sideways, started again. Her pencil moved in firm strokes, each one thought through. The apartment was quiet, except for the soft clicking of the heater. Down the hall, her mother coughed. Her brother laughed in his sleep. The morning of the competition, she left early, told her mother she was going to a study session. She nodded, wiping her hands on a towel. You work too hard, Ani. No one gonna give you medals for it. I know, she said. She smiled, but only with her mouth. The train to New Jersey was half empty. Anissa watched the graffiti blur past the windows. Her fingers gripped the handle of her bag. Her palms were sweating. At Princeton, the buildings rose like silent cathedrals. Ivy curled along stone walls. People moved with calm urgency. Students in coats that fit, shoes that didn't squeak. At the entrance to the physics building, a guard leaned out of his booth. Hey, sweetheart, tours are on the south side, he said, pointing with his pen. I'm here for the Olympiad. He blinked, looked down at his clipboard, looked back at her. You alone. Yes. He buzzed her in, didn't apologize. The hall was tall and gold lit. Marble floors clicked under polished shoes. A lecture room waited at the end. Wide, full of curved benches, a slate-gray board that reached the ceiling. She stepped in. Heads turned. Laughter somewhere near the back. A student in a navy sweater whispered, "Is she lost?" At the front stood a man with sharp glasses, white hair brushed perfectly. He glanced at her over the rim of his spectacles. Are you a participant? Yes. He raised an eyebrow. And your school? She paused. PS 113. Brooklyn. Ah. A smile, tight. Well, have a seat. She sat alone in the second row. No one joined her. Professor Marsh stood straight, chalk in hand. Here's a problem that's gone unanswered for the last 6 years. I've posed it at MIT, Caltech, Tokyo Tech. No one's solved it yet. He turned to the board, began to write. The problem took up 3 lines. Complex vectors, variables undefined. Anyone care to try? He asked. No grades involved, just glory. Silence. He looked around, then down at her. Would you like to have a go, Miss Willow? She said. The room chuckled softly. Marsh held the chalk toward her. She stood, walked slowly, took the chalk. Her fingers didn't shake. At the board, she stood very still for a moment, then began. A horizontal line, then a set of brackets. She didn't rush. Each step small, careful, deliberate. She filled the board slowly, then stopped. 3 more lines. She stepped back. 1 more symbol at the bottom. Q. D. She turned, walked back to her seat. Silence. Professor Marsh didn't move at first. Then he stepped forward, reading it line by line. He stopped halfway through, tilted his head. His lips parted, but no sound came. Then, very quietly, wait, that index was misaligned. He looked again. And you caught that. He looked at her. How? Anissa shrugged. It didn't balance. A pause. Students murmured. A few clapped, scattered at first. Others frowned. Someone said, she probably memorized it. Someone else, louder, It's a stunt. She didn't reply. She glanced at the clock. Then she walked to the board, picked up a piece of chalk, and wrote beneath the final line, Grade 9, PS 113 in Brooklyn. She put the chalk down, walked out without looking back. The clip went viral before anyone could ask her name. First, Reddit, then TikTok, then a grainy screenshot on CNN. A girl in a wrinkled uniform, hair in a loose braid, facing a chalkboard that looked bigger than her. Her writing neat, angled. The equation finished with a full stop. In the background, a row of Princeton students sitting like statues. One caption read, "Ninth grader just schooled an Ivy League professor." Another, "She didn't say a word, just solved it." In Brooklyn, Anissa stood in her kitchen rinsing rice. The faucet hissed. Her mother flipped through a stack of bills on the counter, eyes squinting. "People calling the phone," she muttered. "Some radio. Some science thing." Anissa didn't answer. The water ran clear in the bowl. She drained it carefully. "You give out our number?" "No." Her mother narrowed her eyes. "You didn't sign up for something? No sweepstakes?" "No, Mama." The call came from the principal's office the next morning. Mr. Lefkowitz had never spoken directly to Anissa before. He rarely spoke to any student without a parent present. But this time, he was waiting by the front desk. "Miss Willow," he said, adjusting his tie, "do you have a moment?" In his office, he closed the door, lowered his voice. "I got a call from Princeton," he said. "They say you were there last week. You participated in a university-level competition." She nodded. "And this is you." He turned his screen so she could see. A paused YouTube video, the board, her handwriting. She nodded again. He leaned back. "They want to speak with you about some kind of accelerated program, mentorship, a grant." A silence. "I didn't know you were interested in physics. I didn't think it mattered." His eyebrows went up. "Well, it does now." By the time she walked home, there were 3 reporters outside the building. One leaned on the intercom. The other held a camera half raised. A third scribbled in a notebook. "Excuse me, are you Anissa Willow?" "Just one question. What was the problem about?" "Can we talk to your mom?" She pushed past them, kept her eyes down. The elevator was broken, so she climbed the stairs, floor by floor. By the time she got in the door, she felt like she was vibrating. Her mother turned from the sink, towel in hand. "Who were they?" "Media." Her mother went quiet. "You tell someone something?" Anissa didn't reply. Her mother put the towel down. "They said your name on the news." A pause. "You didn't think you should talk to me about that." "I didn't want you to worry." "Oh, now I'm worried." Anissa stared at her. "I didn't lie." "You didn't tell me," her mother snapped. Then, softer, "You think this is our world." The room buzzed. The fridge hummed loudly. "They'll use you. For a story. A picture. Then forget you." "I don't care about that," Anissa said, almost a whisper. "Well, I do." Silence hung between them. Outside, someone knocked on the door. Neither of them moved. Later, when the house was dark, Anissa sat at her desk. She stared at the screen of her laptop, inbox full of unread emails. NASA, Columbia, one from something called Tomorrow's Theorem. She closed the browser. Her hands trembled, not with fear but with weight. She opened her notebook and began a new page, in a different office, at a desk made of walnut. Professor Marsh watched the same video for the fourth time. He leaned in, paused at the third step in her solution. Right there, he muttered. She took the rotation and skipped the Gaussian assumption. He rewound it. Again. He exhaled sharply and rubbed his face. The email from the dean sat unopened. Subject line: About Willow. Another from a journalist. Comment requested. One from the university's diversity office. He didn't open them. He opened a new tab instead, typed in the name of her school. PS 113 Brooklyn. No website. Just a phone number and a photo of a rusted fence. He closed the laptop. That weekend, the mail brought an envelope marked NASA Summer Scholars. Anissa read it at the kitchen table. Her mother sat across from her, arms crossed. You gonna fly? Anissa didn't answer. You afraid? She looked up. A little. Her mother softened just slightly. Well, you better start getting unafraid, 'cause they not waiting on you. I'm not sure if I want to go. You already went, her mother said. You went and changed things. Now you gotta finish what you started. There were no reporters outside anymore, just neighbors staring more openly than usual. You see the news? An older woman from down the hall asked. That girl looked just like you. Her brother started mimicking equations with his crayons, drew a stick figure by a chalkboard, and wrote genius underneath. Don't spell it wrong, she muttered, but smiled. In the library on Monday, 2 boys were whispering loudly behind the computers. I heard she faked it. The professor let her win for PR. No, man. Look at the math. It's real. Then why isn't she on TV or whatever? She probably doesn't care. She didn't turn around, but something in her chest tightened. That afternoon, she stayed late at school. The sun was already low when she walked past the physics lab. The door was ajar. Inside, Ms. Perlman sat marking papers. She looked up. I saw your video, she said. You looked very calm. Anissa sat on the edge of a desk. I was calm. I'd already done the problem before. At home. Perlman blinked. You'd seen it. No, but I work through the journals. Sometimes they don't update the indexes, so you find stuff. A long pause. You didn't ask for help, Perlman said softly. You never asked if I needed it. Perlman looked away. That's true. Another silence. This one kinder. When Anissa left the room, she found something taped to her locker. A note, written in block letters. You're making us proud. Keep going. No name. Just that. The next day, Princeton called the school again. This time, they wanted her to speak at a departmental seminar. Just 10 minutes. Nothing formal. Just a reflection. Her mother wouldn't come. She packed her own bag, got her own ticket, found her way back to the same cold lecture hall. This time the guard let her in without speaking. The room was smaller, more intimate. No cameras. Just 20 or 30 students and faculty, sipping coffee from compostable cups. Marsh stood near the board, not smiling. When he introduced her, he didn't say child or guest or even student. He said, our young colleague, Anissa Willow. She stepped up, cleared her throat. Her voice was low, quiet. I like thinking, she said. That's all. I like when something doesn't make sense. It feels like a knot you want to untie. You don't need to be special to do that. She paused, looked down at her hands. You just need to be alone, and not afraid of that. The room was silent. Marsh nodded once, deeply. When she stepped down, no one clapped at first. Then a few did. Then the rest. Later, he approached her quietly in the hallway. I underestimated you, he said. She nodded. Everyone did. No, he said. You didn't. She looked at him, and for a moment, there was nothing between them but truth. That summer, the heat in Brooklyn came early. The air had weight to it, like something unsaid. The streets steamed after rain, and even the bricks looked tired. But in a quiet corner apartment on the third floor, Anissa sat on the floor with a laptop balanced on her knees, headphones on, eyes fixed. The NASA summer program wasn't like school. It was harder and lonelier. Everything was on Zoom. Cameras off, mics muted, people with last names that sounded like building names. But the equations, they were real and beautiful. During the second week, one of the mentors asked her to stay after the session. You spotted a pattern in the entropy series. Have you read Gresham's second framework? She said no. He blinked, then said, You should write this up. It's original. She muted the mic before answering, then nodded. Down the hall, her mother watched a rerun with the volume low. The fan buzzed. A fly tapped against the window. Still doing your space thing? She asked, not looking. You still not flying nowhere? Anissa didn't answer, but that night she opened a new tab and typed, How to get over fear of planes. She didn't hit enter. Midway through the summer, a letter arrived from Princeton. Not an email, a real letter. Heavy envelope, embossed seal. She read it 3 times before her mother noticed. What's that? Scholarship, she said. They started a fund. My name's on it. Her mother blinked. You're giving money away now. No, it's for other kids. Like me. Why not just give it to you? I don't need it. Yet. The next day, the principal called again. I was told to expect a visitor, he said. Someone from Princeton. Anissa looked up. Who? But he didn't answer. Just said, You'll want to be here. When the day came, the hallways were half empty. It was summer break. The lights buzzed overhead. She sat by the trophy case, mostly filled with old soccer ribbons, and one dusty spelling bee plaque from 2002. Then the door opened, and Professor Marsh walked in. He was wearing a summer blazer and holding a paper bag. The principal trailed behind, clearly uncomfortable. Marsh stopped in front of her and smiled faintly. Thought I'd come to return something, he said. She stood. What? He reached into the bag and pulled out a long piece of white chalk, the kind they didn't use in her school. Something was written on it in careful ink. She read it slowly. You are the teacher now. He held it out. She hesitated, then took it. For the first time since they met, he didn't look like he had answers. He looked tired, or maybe honest. I watched your summer paper, he said. The entropy correction. You're not just talented. You're unshaped. That's rarer. She looked down at the chalk. You came all the way here to say that. I came to listen, in case you had anything to say to me. She thought for a long moment. Then, I don't forgive you for the first day. He nodded. Fair. But I appreciate the second. He almost smiled. As he turned to leave, he glanced around the school. This place could use a better lab. "Tell the Board of Ed," she said. He paused. "Maybe I will." The hallway was quiet again. In the fall, her old school added a science elective. A club formed. Not many students came at first, just 3, then 7, then 15. She didn't teach, exactly. She just sat in the corner, solving problems out loud, asking questions like someone had once asked her. A boy from her building came every week. Couldn't sit still. Always tapping his pencil. One day he said, "Yo, Miss Willow, you think I could do, like, space stuff too?" She shrugged. "Try. See." He grinned. "I ain't as smart as you." She looked at him for a long second. Neither was I. Later that month, a local reporter tried to get her on a morning show. Inspirational Youth, they called it. Her mother answered the phone and handed it to her. "Do you want this?" she asked. Anissa put the phone down. "I want quiet," she said. She walked to the kitchen, made tea, and returned to her notebook. She didn't need an audience. She had momentum. One evening, while organizing her desk, she found her old school ID badge. Bent corner. Smudged photo. She almost threw it away. Instead, she wrapped it in plastic and brought it to the principal. He framed it and hung it in his office. Didn't say a word. Months passed. People forgot. The internet moved on. Another child went viral for something. Then another. But in her neighborhood, something lingered. Kids started bringing books to the park. Teachers stopped skipping the hard chapters. One neighbor organized a donation for school supplies. The physics club moved to a larger room. Her brother started building models out of cereal boxes, called them inventions. In December, Anissa walked home from school wearing the same coat, the same backpack. But people saw her differently now. Some nodded. Some smiled. Some whispered. She didn't flinch. A girl in the stairwell stopped her. "You're the one who did that thing at Princeton, right?" Anissa nodded. The girl looked down at her shoes. "My brother says girls don't do physics, but I'm doing it anyway." Anissa held her gaze. Good. That night, she wrote something on the board above her bed. Same cracked laptop. Same room. She didn't post it anywhere. Just wrote it. You don't have to be somebody important to do something important. Then she turned out the light